It's me, it's TRG, the Rambling Gambler. This is Casino Kombat Boot Kamp. Yes, we spell combat and boot camp with a K. Boot Kamp takes the gambling concepts from our Casino Kombat podcast and breaks them down into short, detailed segments. It's the podcast stripped of the stories and the jokes, just the gambling basics. Boot Kamp can serve as a review for podcast listeners or as an introduction for those just learning about the squad. Boot Kamp will, over several hours, teach you what it took me over 30 years to learn. How to use casino gambling as a side hustle, a comp hustle, a way to live a casino lifestyle. In this segment, I'm going to teach you how to determine the amount of money you need at a minimum for your gambling bankroll to walk into a casino. At the end of this session, you will know how much money you need to set aside for the game and the wager that you are going to play. I will also teach you some tips and techniques for handling both wins and losses as they occur. Look, gambling at casinos can be a fun and profitable side hustle, a great way to live a casino lifestyle. I've documented that in the main podcast. It can also be a problem for some people. Don't use any of this with money you can't afford to lose, and if you need help, find help. As I said, today we're going to discuss the core concept: have a bankroll of money you can afford to lose that is large enough for the wagers you are going to make. This is a foundational idea for what we are trying to teach you how to do. If you are just getting started, you need to get, or save over time a gambling bankroll. You need to keep that bankroll separate from your real money. So here's a very simple formula to know how big your bankroll needs to be. Take the base bet you are going to make. Last time we discussed this, we used a $10 unit size, so let's use $10 again. You need 10 bets as your buy-in at a table. You need a minimum of 3 buy-ins to even enter the casino. That's $10 times 10 times 3, or $300 for this example. If you don't have that $300 available and purely earmarked for the games you are going to play, stay home. It's just that simple. If you have $300 that you can afford to lose and you get to the casino and the only tables available are $15 minimums or $25 minimums, leave the building. Come back another day with a large enough bankroll or at a time when the table limits are lower. The concept here is easy to understand. The execution is often difficult. Your brain will try to talk you out of the things that I'm telling you. Your brain will tell you you don't need 3 buy-ins, or the buy-ins don't need to be 10 full units. It's lying to you. I've given you the math and the wagering system, but this is the part where you have to provide the discipline. I can teach you the game, but I can't find the discipline for you. I see this done wrong almost every time I'm in a casino. A person walks up to a $15 table and buys in for $40. It almost never ends well. If you use my approach, 10 bets as a buy-in and having at least 3 buy-ins available, you have staying power. You won't get nervous when it's time to make a 4.5 unit regressive wager. If you lose and leave the table, you have plenty of funds left to try again later. So why don't I just say buy in for 7.5 units and when they're gone, walk away? Because strange combinations happen in a casino if you are playing the game of blackjack. You might need to double or split a hand right as you're hitting your limit. Those last few units in that buy-in cover those monster hand situations. Let's look at some possible results. You walk into the casino with $300. You find a blackjack table and you buy in with $100. You play and you hit your negative exit, having lost 3 bets in a row. You've won a few bets along the way. You've lost $45 and you leave the building. Don't panic. Go on with your life. A week, a day, a month later, you go back for your second session. You don't need an ATM. You have your second $100 buy-in ready. On many occasions, I've lost on my first attempt, I've lost on my second attempt, and then on the third attempt, I win everything back plus a nice profit. The goal of Casino Kombat is not to win the table or the day. It is to win the month, which is to say it is to win in the long run. If you're traveling and staying overnight, admittedly, you don't leave the building after 20 minutes because you lost your first buy-in. You leave the table, you get some food, you take a nap. You get out of the mental gambling headspace for just a little bit. You let that dopamine drop down, then you find another table and try again. Well, what about when things go right? You walk in with $300, you buy in for $100, and you leave having won $70. Take half of it and buy something you would buy anyway, a meal, or pay a bill. Take the other half and put it in an envelope marked future gambling. If you hit a big win, say $1,000, do something positive. Give a little to charity. Take a chunk and put it in an envelope labeled taxes. Keep it safe. When tax season rolls around, you'll be glad you have that obligation covered instead of scrambling to find the cash. Use another chunk of that $1,000 to pay for something you normally have to pay for. Use that win to knock out a credit card balance or cover your utilities for the month. When you use the casino's money to pay for your daily life, the transaction is complete. I've been playing with the same dedicated bankroll for years. Sometimes we add to the future gambling envelope, and sometimes we take money out because we've lost some money along the way, but the core capital remains the same. I rarely use my debit card at an ATM anymore to take out cash. I mostly just pay for my daily life with winnings. Well, there you have it, a beginner's class on bankroll size and money management. A couple more of these segments and you'll be prepared to start your own gambling side hustle and live a casino lifestyle. If this was useful, subscribe, share, join the squad. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you on the floor.